warm welcome to Public Global. I'm Neelu Vyas. Now, opposition leaders have been in arms after a report unveiled by the BJP government relaxed critical and long-standing national security defense protocols, allowing billionaire businessman Gautam Adani to go ahead with the world's largest renewable energy park in Gujarat's Khavda, with solar panels and wind turbines within a kilometer of the India-Pakistan border along the Rann of Kutch. Now, what has the Guardian reported? You have to look at that very carefully. Guardian has reported that the tweak in the protocols has also paved way for similar construction on the borders with other neighboring countries like China, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Myanmar, the report said. According to the British newspaper, documents show the BJP had lobbied at the highest levels for the protocols to be relaxed to make land in the Rann of Kutch available for both solar and wind construction. Now, it has also been reported that the military officials had raised concerns about the tank mobilization, security surveillance along the international border, and the developers assured them that solar platforms would be adequate in mitigating any threats from enemy tank movements. But those concerns raised by the military officials, it seems, were completely dismissed, and the project was handed over to Gautam Adani. So what is the opposition saying? Opposition is saying that BJP's nationalism is a pseudo-nationalism. They have compromised with the border security. They have compromised with the military interests. And today there was an adjournment motion notice given by Congress's Lok Sabha MP Manikam Tagore. So we'll try and discuss this issue, how serious is the threat which the country is facing, and what kind of a compromise is this which the Modi government is trying to get into. Joining me now is independent media analyst Siddharth Sharma. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining on the Public Global. What is your feeling about this particular story, which the Guardian has published? And today there were lots of reactions saying that Congress and other opposition parties, it seems, are taking a dictation from the British government. And how serious is this issue, according to you?
Well, the answer is very simple. If in my neighborhood there is a fire and that fire is being warned about, somebody is shouting out it's a fire, you don't see the character of that person who is shouting out about the fire. He might be a person whose antecedents might not be good. He might be a pickpocketer of your colony, but if he is shouting out that there is a fire in your colony, then you attend the fire and not the person who is saying it. हिंदी में कहावत है, कौवा कान लेके गया आप कहेंगे तो आप कौवा को नहीं देखते, अपना कान को देखते हैं. So it's not about who is saying what. The simple thing is that any nation has if it has certain borders with other nations, especially nations like India, which has borders with many countries like Myanmar. One is Myanmar, second is Bangladesh, third is Bhutan, China, then Pakistan. At least six nations, five different nations India has borders with, and at least three nations out of them, Pakistan, China, and Myanmar, are adversarial to us. That clearly means that you have to take care of your borders, and that is why the border is taken care by the defense forces, be it border security forces in places where there is relative calm, or direct military where there is a direct threat. So it's very clear that borders, international borders, borders with adversarial nations have to be are being taken care of by the defense forces. It's like I can have enough money with me and I can buy a plot of land. I want to build a house there. But when I go to the municipality, they ask me to leave at least 3 or 4 feet in the front as offset. So that portion has to be vacant. So everyone knows that wherever there is an international border with other countries, there are certain no man's land where no construction, nothing happens, because the military needs to have that space. If there is an attack on India, the military needs that space to counter that attack. Or if India needs to attack them, we need spaces to do that. It's like a chessboard. If there are too many pieces in the chessboard, no pieces can move unless the pieces are open.
Siddharth, how serious is this issue which has been flagged by the Guardian report, and no media in India, it seems, is reporting on this? But do you think that the the allegations which have been leveled by the opposition and mainly by Mallikarjun Kharge and several other leaders from the opposition that Modi government has compromised with the security interests. What is your feeling on this particular bit which has been raised by the opposition?
Well, I won't give credit to the opposition to have raised this issue, because this issue is raised by some international forum, an independent newspaper called The Guardian, which doesn't belong to India. So the opposition has only picked up from that story. The Guardian is necessarily saying that India has diluted its national security by giving away borderland from defense forces to corporates. That is Adani in this case, as far as and in this instance, in the run of Kutch in Gujarat, 1 kilometer from the border, it has given away spaces. That was still yesterday, it was under defense forces. Now it has been given to Adani, that is a corporate house. So this is a question that has been raised by a newspaper from outside India. It also says that this was done in a meeting at the highest level in Delhi, and in that meeting, the military people, the Director General of Military Operations, who is the highest authority there, he was also present, and he raised objections to it that this cannot happen. Yet he was superseded. His objection was superseded, and this land was given away. That clearly shows that for the present BJP government, when it says national security, in fact, it is speaking about a notional security. And BJP ecosystem is reading it as national security, because any nation which has a national security doctrine in place will not go for something like Agniveer. We all know the regiments in the military are named as Rajputana Regiment, Gorkha Regiment, Madras Sappers. So that essentially shows that people in military go in many families. Going into military runs into several generations, 3 generations, 4 generations go into military. And now you have scrapped the entire thing and gone for a recruitment drive called Agniveer. That is for 4 years, you get contract people inside. So that itself shows that the day India went for Agniveer, it showed that for BJP government, national security is nothing but notional security. The second is the Pulwama attack. Pulwama happened because Pakistan's ISI attacked it. Now we invited them to come to our to come to India and investigate. The third is the Chinese red flags are already there in more than 2,000 square kilometers of Ladakh. Now India has not responded to that. That land has not yet been taken back. Even countries now like Nepal are showing Indian land in their map. So that essentially shows that the BJP's national security, when they say it, it is only a rhetoric that they use. Basically they are saying about notional security, and I would not be surprised, because a party which wins elections on the plank of culture, obviously security would not be a very important factor for them, because when you're winning an election on the basis of culture, security obviously is ignored. So security has been ignored in India. The national security has been ignored for the last 10 years is a well known fact. uh, uh, Mr. Adani and BJP's closeness, especially Modi ji's closeness with Adani, whenever he goes to Greece, whenever he goes to Sri Lanka, whenever he goes to Bangladesh, he lobbies for them. Australia, he lobbies for them and gets them contract. So in
But
this
Similar,
case,
now, given the fact that the Guardian itself has pointed out that this is just not a security compromise in Ran of Kutch at several borders like Myanmar, China, Nepal, what kind of a risk is India facing now because of Prime Minister Modi's decisions and Gautam Adani? Are they not realizing the kind of risks to which they have opened the country to and exposed the country to?
they would have realized the risks if they would have won the elections, or the BJP. It's like the tail wagging the dog, Neelu. BJP is winning elections. BJP is in government because people are voting for BJP. That we have to understand that it's not just about people voting for BJP. There is a complete BJP ecosystem. There are BJP supportive people. Maybe in all the institutions of India, including the judiciary, the legislature as well. Legislature, obviously, they win, but the executive also has certain people who are supportive of the BJP. The judiciary also has certain people supportive of the BJP. Now the BJP knows that since it is winning elections on the plank of culture, security is absolutely ignored. So this is nobody's case that a complete policy change. This is not just Adani in Run of Kutch, a small 450 square kilometer piece of solar park. It is not that. It is a complete change of policy which is going to affect India's security doctrine for the last 75 years. India has made it very clear the border has to be taken care of by the military or the BSF. The defense forces are there to take care of our borders. Now it is like, to just simplify it further. In my neighborhood, there is a bank. Outside a bank, there is a guard. The guard stands there with the gun. Now, tomorrow, if I go there, not just my neighborhood bank, but across India, all the banks, the guard with the gun has dropped his gun and started a tea shop there. That would only mean two things. Either the outside society has reached Satyuga and nobody is going to get into bank and rob it, or the bank has nothing inside for which anybody will come and try to rob that bank. Either of the two scenarios, there is no third scenario. So security, which was to be taken care of by the defense forces, if the government has changed policy and made it open for corporates to come and put up their what do you say business ventures in sensitive areas, that itself shows that it is no more a national security doctrine for Modi government. It is a notional security doctrine. And for people who would question, there would be one very valid question from viewers of Public India, that if there is some commercial interest to be exploited, and if that land belongs to India, why can't India exploit that commercial interest? The answer is very simple. So there is something called as strategic importance. The world's third biggest oil reserves today are not in the Middle East, not in Siberia, but with America in the Gulf of Mexico and in Alaska. But America has banned oil drilling there because it says that this is my strategic security reserve. So if there is a even if there is an exploitable commercial interest right at the border, because strategic interests overcome commercial interests, that is why you know every city or every town or every district would have small defense establishments. Nobody from a public can go inside there. There is a very clear board written, trespassers will not just be prosecuted, they will be shot at. So डिफेंस लैंड के अंदर एक हिंदुस्तानी नागरिक भी अगर पड़ोस में रहता है, तो जब नहीं जा सकता डिफेंस लैंड में, तो बॉर्डर पर आपने अगर उद्योगपतियों को भेज दिया है, तो इसका मतलब ही है इंडिया हैज फॉर सम रीजन द मोदी गवर्नमेंट हैज चेंज्ड इंडिया सिक्योरिटी national security doctrine. Now it is no more a national security doctrine, but more like a notional security doctrine. And this should not come as a surprise to anyone. In fact, we should be thanking newspapers like what do you say, Guardian or other places. And this, I think, this issue is like what do you say, iceberg. When icebergs are floating in the ocean, only 10% of it is seen, 90% is below ground. So in fact, we should be thanking Guardian that this is, I think, the first installment or the first tranche of national security lapses done by Modi government, which has come out in the public domain. There will be more coming out. For example, I think the Public India viewers can go on the internet and check. Manipur has been burning for the last 2 years. We know that. Uh, do we know that in Manipur, the land use policy has been changed? 66,000 hectares of Manipur land has been opened by the government of India to be exploited as palm oil cultivation. And we know for palm oil, the biggest company in the world which produces palm oil is Wilmar. Wilmar and Adani have a joint conglomerate. Everyone uses Fortune cooking oil in their homes. Pick up it and see the manufacturer's name. It would show as Adani Wilmar. So even places like Manipur, which are sensitive, which have been proven to be sensitive in the last 2 years, 66,000 hectares of Manipur land, which is right now burning, has already been given away in policy for Adani or business conglomerate. So that is very clear that I think the BJP government has changed the national security doctrine. It is no more a national security doctrine. It is more like a notional security doctrine. It is like when Trump, recently when Trump came, Trump is very clear that I just want to earn money. I'm going to earn money. This is a purely capitalist outlook that Mr. Trump has. I think
No,
India
do
has
you
been
think?
going through that.
No, but I don't know what kind of an inquiry or investigation will happen in this particular case, because we've never seen in case of Adani, whenever an issue has come up, the normal refrain which we hear in the media is that the people who are talking against Adani are the ones who are against India. after this particular story of the Guardian, what do you think is going to be the narrative? And one of the narratives which I'm reading right now is a story on Op India where people are saying that the opposition is taking orders from the British government after this story, because obviously it's a British paper. Guardian is a British paper. So now BJP people and the BJP supported websites are saying that opposition is taking a dictation from the British government, because Guardian does a story and the next day Congress and other several other opposition parties raise this issue in Parliament. So do
Yeah,
you
as I
think
said,
that, so do you think that this issue again will be buried like other instances when it has happened in the past?
there would be a little bit of a difference between because Adani hurting national interests at the cost of making money has been in the news for the last 10 years. There have been numerous demands about Adani JPC also earlier, but earlier and this time there is a little bit of a difference that the BJP was in absolute majority then. Right now, BJP is on two crutches of its allies, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu and Mr. Nitish Kumar. Now, the opposition can make all the hue and cry it wants, but unless Mr. Chandrababu Naidu or Nitish Kumar have understand that this is an issue of national security and this cannot be brushed aside, if the pressure comes on from those NDA allies, especially the big allies like Mr. Chandrababu Naidu or Mr. Nitish Kumar, I think we will. I think there would be some kind of JPC or some kind of investigation about these kind of policy changes. Until then, it will only be noise created by the opposition of right thinking people, right thinking channels like Public India. Now, as far as the BJP ecosystem is concerned, as I said earlier, right now I'm sitting here, and if somebody calls that there is a fire behind me, I would not go and see who is telling me about that fire, whether that person is a good person or not. The question here is about the fire. The question here is that has India changed its policy from uh, mm, uh, securing its borders with defense forces to now putting up corporate interests or business interests at the border, just 1 kilometer from the border? If that
Right.
policy has been changed, and in Khavda, the world's biggest solar power plant has already been set up by Mr. Adani, which is just 1 kilometer from the runoff from the international border. That is very clear that India has changed its national security policy. Now, let us understand a little bit of Ran of Kutch. Ran of Kutch is 7,500 kilometers big. 90% of it falls under India. Only 10% of it falls under Pakistan. But the benefit for Pakistan is that just 26 kilometers from the international border, they have a railway station called Badli. Whereas the nearest railway station for us from the international border in India is 110 kilometers away at Bhuj. Now, the nearest megapolis, big city from the Ran of Kutch for Pakistan is Karachi at 165 kilometers. Whereas from that same international border, the biggest city of India is Ahmedabad, 450 kilometers away. So the importance, strategic importance of Ran of Kutch is such that the 1965 war started because Pakistan initiated something called as Operation Desert Hawk. Operation Desert Hawk, in which it even captured Karjakot. There is a small fort called Karjakot Fort in Ran of Kutch. Pakistan even occupied that. So even the 1965 war started off because of things Pakistan attacking in the Ran of Kutch, because it is a plain. It is a salt desert of
Right.
salt. So it is a plain. So anybody can attack you. So I think a place of such strategic importance, where tanks had to be standing there, where missiles had to be standing there, where your infantry battalions had to be there, where your Prithvi missiles were to be stationed there. In that place, if any business interests have come up, that itself shows that India has changed its national security policy from one of defense to one of business.
Right. Thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining on Public Global. Thank you. Thank you.